welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we are in Silverado today, and we are headed down to Pineville, North Carolina, and that is because we have more storage to go pick up. This is kind of a continuation of the video that we shot for the Cars and Coffee up in Concord that we shot last month. So in that video I mentioned I was going to go buy something and pick it up. Well, I bought it, but it wasn't in stock, so they had to ship it in, and this would be at Harbor Freight. So today, in today's video, we're actually picking that up, and let's go get that. Also, if you see this picture here, this isn't the only thing that we've picked up recently. So when we get home, we actually have another piece that goes along with this piece. So got a lot of storage stuff to do. All right, guys, we are pulling away from Harbor Freight, and yes, we have our new toolbox in the back of the bed, and that's an older store. They're organized, but not as organized as the standalone stores. That one happens to be in the strip mall, so not a bigger deal there. But yeah, we got our stuff. And so yeah, for this one, we're basically just gonna have to cut the box and I think rip it apart because it doesn't slide off like the other kits. Alright guys, as far as I can tell, this one has no damage on it. I'm not seeing any major impacts. This corner looks good. Let's double check this last one. Yeah guys, there's actually no damage on this unit, so that's awesome. The unit behind us, yeah, that's kind of a different story and has a little dinker on it, but we'll get to that in a second like we were saying. So alright guys, you might be wondering, well, what's the point of both of these cabinets? Well, long story short, I want to replace one of my Gladiator cabinets that I've had for years, and it's just been an inefficient storage model. You guys will see that in a second, but basically I wanted to replace one of my cabinets and go with these two, just A, so that it matches what I already have, and B, something to be a little bit more efficient. As you will see here in a minute, this is going to be a much better packaging, if that makes sense, much more consolidated packaging for our detailing stuff. Yes, this is kind of a lot of stuff for a detailing cabinet, but I've got a lot of stuff. I've had a lot of different buffers and, you know, supplies, Adams products, you know, got Mr. Sam works the cleat, got some of his stuff. Just got a lot of stuff out there, and you know, I've got kind of like a big collection, and what I have now is not an efficient way to store it. So with this 22-inch cabinet here, you know, obviously there's a couple shelves missing. I haven't put them back in yet. But basically we're going to have 4 shelves that we could put product on. I've got a slide-out drawer here on the bottom that I could put a buffer on. Actually, I've got 2 buffers. So, you know, this will give us a lot more room. And since it's all kind of one bigger pocket, we can put a lot more product in here compared to what we have now. So, you know, I thought about getting 2 of these, but then kind of thought about them, and I don't exactly have the room for everything. So we're going to go with this. We'll see how well we fill this up. And if we run out of room specifically for tool storage, we'll have plenty of room to put stuff in here. There's a big drawer on the bottom. Actually, the bottom 2 drawers are big. The middle drawer is big as well. And we could stick buffing pads, we can stick compound, obviously laying sideways. But, you know, if we do need that little bit more extra room, we will have that with this 15-inch cabinet. So, and this area right here next to the welders is where our 2 US General tool storage pieces are going to go. This cabinet only has 3 drawers in it. So guys, you see all this wasted space? Well, guess what? I can't order any more cabinets for this particular unit. I think I have had this cabinet for 9+ years. I think I had it in my old shop. So I've had this for almost 10 years. And if you guys look at it, I need more shelves. And that bigger cabinet, the 22-inch locker, has deeper and wider shelves that we could consolidate all this stuff into. If you guys can see, we've got a huge space here we're not using. We've got a huge space here we're not using efficiently. You know, I've got a bunch of rags and stuff. Obviously, we can go through and throw some stuff out, but you guys can kind of see where I'm going with this is that I don't have an efficient storage method for any of my detailing stuff. So I actually called Whirlpool before I went ahead and ordered those. Whirlpool is who owns Gladiator, and they do not sell the shelves individually. I think they may have done that 10 years ago, but currently no, they don't sell them anymore. So, and as you guys know, we recently replaced our main toolbox with this US General. So we've got the 72-inch toolbox, we've got the hutch, then we attached the 27-inch toolbox. Well guys, I actually can add another toolbox. That 27 and the 15, you add those up, what does that add up to? That adds up to 42. So if we really needed more tool storage, now I'm talking about actual hand tools and stuff like that, I could actually fit that 42-inch toolbox on top of the 27 and the 15. So I'm kind of like future planning here if we really need it. And it would be the same height as the hutch. They do sell a 27-inch toolbox that'll go on top here, but guys, it looks goofy. That's the simplest way I can put it. It's 2 or 3 inches shorter than the 72, you know, the height, and it looks dumb. It's like, why didn't they just make that full height? I understand that, you know, people might not be hooking the 27 to a 72, and so they don't want it too tall. But guys, like, it doesn't make sense why they would have that one be vertically shorter, and it just doesn't flow well, if that makes sense. Now, I know that's kind of future planning, but my goal is to have the 72, the 27, the 15, and then the locker. So we're going to have like 100+ inches of toolbox. All right, guys, as you can see, we're using the plasma cutter to do our initial cuts on the square tube. You guys will have seen the plasma cutter in the previous video with the Best Arc review when we did that. We actually used that to cut out the plates. You will see that here in a little bit, but yeah, we're using the Best Arc plasma cutter to cut this 1/4-inch square wall tube. It does an okay job, but the problem is trying to keep the line straight. I kind of complained about that in the last video. You know, keeping the line straight is actually very difficult. Even with the straight piece of aluminum that I have clamped to the metal and the little stool that we're on, yeah, it was still hard to keep this thing straight, and I ended up finishing the cuts to cut all the way through with a Sawzall. So, you know, this got us our initial cut. It cut through a couple sides of each side, but it didn't get through the whole thing. And I finished it up with a Sawzall. So that's just a quick overview of the fabrication that's needed with this project, is cutting out the plate as well as the little riser that we're going to make out of the square tube. As you guys can see, we got our plates cut here. Everything's cleaned up. Everything's ready to go. I do need to drill the holes, so that's one more step I do need to do. But yeah, here is the square tube. That's going to be our little riser, and then we're going to put the other plate on top. And yeah, so that is going to be the other set of spacers that we didn't make last time we did this. So yes, we have done this before, but I didn't have a plasma cutter, and also I didn't need the other set because when we had the 72 attached to the 27, the wheels hit each other. So you guys might be wondering, why are we blowing apart the 27 and the 72-inch toolbox? And that is basically because I need to get access to my circuit breakers, and the fuse panel, switch panel is back behind the tall Gladiator cabinet. And if I put the locker, if we put the 27 and then the 15, if we put this bundle in front of that, that means every time a circuit breaker trips, I am going to have to move like 100+ inches of toolbox. And For me, guys, honestly, it doesn't make sense. So as you can see here, we are welding up the little stands that we need to put in. And basically, they're about 1 3/4 inches of square tube and a 1/4 inch plate on top and bottom. So they're just over 2 inches. And yeah, so that's us welding up these stands. Alright guys, we kind of jumped toward a lot just due to the fact that a lot of stuff I did off camera because it would be boring. You don't really want to watch me paint or try to get feet mounted on the 27-inch cabinet or trying to get the 15 and end locker attached to this 27. How I did that was actually pretty simple. I had both the 15 and the locker. They were both sitting on the floor flat. I basically wedged them up enough. I put a furniture dolly underneath one end, and then I put a floor jack under the other end, and I was able to get that lifted up just enough to where I could get this lip to get it to fold and lock in place right over the 27. So I did that with the 15 first. And what's funny is the end locker was actually more easy to get attached to the 27 than the 15 was. That one, just because it was kind of bigger and I had better control over it. This one, you kind of want to like almost manhandle it, if that makes sense. How these lock in is there's tabs on the top. As you guys can see here, there's a lip right here. So that locks in on top. And there were bolts on the bottom. Actually, there's nut certs on the 27. And basically just bolt it right into that. So unlike the 27 to 72 where I had to run a nut and bolt, we were able to use the thread certs this time. And so it made it a lot easier. Just lip on top, 13 mil or 10 mil on the bottom. It depends on which hardware you have, and just attach them and we're good to go. So yeah, so this thing is rolling around as a solid cart, and yeah, so I basically now need to get this pushed into place. But before we can do that, I need to move a couple things, and that's going to include the TIG welder right there and the hose reel. You guys can see that mounted on the wall. All right, guys, we finally got this project almost done. Obviously, we're missing a couple drawers. The air hose reel is down. I need to find a place for the TIG welder. I will say this, if we didn't have the plasma cutter, if I didn't have to do a video about that, I probably would have, in the long run, just bought the 4 spacers, because, guys, those took pretty much 2 days to make. I think I was out here for like 6 hours making those yesterday, and it still took a couple hours today painting them, welding them, doing all that stuff. So in the end, you know, time is money. It would be faster and much quicker just to buy those. But the last time I saw, I think it was like $70 a pair. So yeah, it's basically going to cost you about $140 to get that raised, to get that 27 raised level with the 72. So if that's worth it to you, I don't know, it may or may not be. For right now, you know, now that I've done this project twice, I would have just rather bought it, to be honest. The cost for me was just $60. I had to buy the 12x12 plate, and then 6 inches of the 2x2 1/4 inch square tubing, and I had to buy that twice. And no, I didn't have enough left over from the previous project to keep going with this one. So you basically have to buy 2 sheets of that plate and the 2 tubes, 2 square tubes. And yeah, so I think it was like $30 each. So it's about 60 bucks total. So 60 bucks and a bunch of hours, or $140, and it's a bolt-on solution. This is the finished product of the toolboxes. So I measured it. It is 136 inches of toolbox, which it is a little bit ridiculous, but like I said, we will be filling this out. So we've got enough stuff around here. So need to get all my detailing stuff into this box, and if I need to have any buffer stuff, I'll just put it in there, or move some stuff between the 15 and the 27. And so yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it for today's video. I kind of want to show you a finished shot of what it's gonna look like with all of the drawers in, everything put together. If you guys like today's video, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more shop updates, we got plenty of stuff coming up. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. we'll get you some information for the US General boxes, and then all the stuff that we use for the welder, the plasma cutter, all those links will be down below, as well as the metal that we end up using for the stands down there, because I bought that on Amazon. So also don't forget to check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support that you guys can give there goes right back into the channel, these projects, the toolboxes and all that. So that's gonna be it. Thanks guys, have a great one.